District because we make our home here. When we built our home 17 years ago, we made accommodations so that we could live there for the rest of our life and only leave when we go out feet first. So what happens in this district is really important to us. Water is such an important issue here. Y'all know that. We have the well controversy. We've still got it dripping. We've got the city council trying to dump effluent into the beautiful, pristine Onion Creek. There's not a lot that the federal side does right now with water, but there are some things we can do. We could do things like incentivizing cities to pull their conservation to a higher level. We could do things like getting the FHA to finance rainwater harvesting homes. Right now they won't do it because they say it's not a permanent source of water, which everybody here knows it certainly is. There's so many things that we can do that are positive and will help in water conservation. And I think that a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to water, but it is the one thing that we have to have. We cannot live without it. So I would like to encourage you to go to KathyForCongress.com, or if you do Facebook, Kathy for Congress, and I would certainly appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Warren, 1 minute.
Hey, good evening. I'm Warren Schneiderman. I am a successful businessman. I have a master's degree and went to law school, and I'm running for Congress for my family and for you guys. My friends call me Mr. Sunshine. So I'm going to share with you that I believe our country has evolved into a pit of vipers. Our property, our family, and our rights are being tortured at every step. It's an outrage, and our representatives have betrayed us. Special interest groups, crazy operatives, and international agendas are killing our freedom and prosperity. This is serious business. The media assault and the false dialogues have created a daily fuzziness and a dumbing down of our American spirit. We become a commodity, and we're being pawned to international brokers, and we are losing our freedom. This is an enemy we cannot penetrate, and this is an enemy we cannot see. Everything in the political landscape is false, and it's a fraud. Our debt and our food chain is poisoned, and we're one election away from a nightmare that we can't reverse. I believe this is serious. I'm running for Congress. My name is Lauren. I've raised my family here, and I ask you all to vote for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. At this time, we'll start with the questions that were prepared by the league members. And the first one will go to you, Ms. Kathy. What is your position on overturning the Supreme Court ruling on Citizens United, which gives corporations the right to donate unlimited funds to election campaigns?
Well, first of all, we need to elect a Congress that will actually go in and put a Supreme Court justice in. We need a Senate that will actually do that so that we can have the case go to the Supreme Court again. There needs to be another challenge. It absolutely has to be overturned, whether that's through Congress passing a constitutional amendment and getting it through, although that's a really long, tedious process. But I would like to see us have a challenge to the Citizens United, get it overturned. Corporations are not people, and money is not speech. We all have one vote. Whenever they say that a corporation is a person, I just want to see them die. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-corporation, but if you are a person, you can die. And until they can do that, or they run for office, let's run Exxon for president, I don't know, but we've got to have a reasonable explanation of what a person is and what a business is. So we definitely need to overturn it.
Warren, you have 2 minutes.
Well, sure, I agree with that as well. Our government is taking steps to make everything unfair. Freedom of speech, the elections, political action committees, it's all undue influence, and it's not fair to people running. It's not fair to third parties. It's not fair to the individuals who want to run on their own and make an impact. The corporations and the government are working together to sabotage our freedom. They're sabotaging the Constitution, and they're making money the name of the game. I think it's unfair, and I agree with Ms. Thomas.
You have 1 minute to rebuttal.
I don't think it's quite as bleak in our country on everything. I mean, there's certainly some serious problems. We've been redistributing wealth to the upper top 10 for far too long, and that needs to change. But I believe that our country has so much promise, and we need people that are going to go up there and work to fulfill the promise of our Constitution. We have an incredible founding document. We just need to honor that.
Warren, this question is for you, please. What measures do you think should be taken to prevent the spread of the Zika virus in the U.S. and to treat people who have contracted the virus?
Well, of course, I believe in public health. I believe in individual health. I think in many of the situations we see, and a lot of the health situations are manufactured. I don't think that they're all legitimate and they're real. It's also intended to control the population in fear. I believe that the Zika virus is real and people do get sick from that. I think the United States government and the states should take a larger role in protecting the people of their state. I'm a firm believer, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I believe that a lot of the situations are intended to create fear so we're able to operate in a stronger government stronghold. Again, I feel for people who do get sick. I have a particular situation. I was in a car accident this weekend. So I do believe that we need to look for the public health and the safety of the people, but I think the media and the government and the corporations are controlling these diseases for their own benefit.
Kathy?
I'd like to see the CDC do a little more research on how to combat Zika, coming up with a vaccine against it. It is a serious disease for women who are of childbearing age. It's an especially serious disease. I think we need to make sure we have prenatal care for these women so that they know what's going on. We need to have more publicity about how to empty out water, all these types of things. A lot of people just don't think about that. They've watered a plant and there's water still down in the basin of it. So we've got to get a lot more publicity out. I think the federal government does have a role in this. CDC can do a great deal of education with it. And for me, it goes back to climate change too, because as we get warmer further and further from the tropics, these things that once stayed in warmer areas are going to start moving up. We're going to have more diseases, more insects that decimate crops. It's all of a piece. There's not a whole lot in our world that's really linear. Most of it is circular, it's interconnected, and we can't pick one piece out and say, we'll fix that. We have to see how they're connected and work on them all together.
You have 1 minute to rebuttal.
Well, again, Kathy makes good points. I still believe that anytime you attack something with hazardous chemicals and you get the federal government involved, you get private enterprise or corporations, mysterious corporations, let's just pick on Monsanto. But Monsanto is not going to solve our health situation. They're not going to protect us, let's say. And again, I feel for the people that suffer from diseases and are inflicted by these. But again, I believe that it's a conspiracy against the people and a conspiracy against our own health to sabotage that at every step.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, this one is for you. How would you ensure representation for citizens who live in the more distant areas of your district? What methods of communication do you think are effective in reaching out to the public?
Social media is a blessing and a curse. We've all seen both sides of it, but it's been very effective for me in getting to know people in the district. I've traveled a lot. I've gone pretty much the whole length of the district. It is an absurdly large district. Electing people in the state house that will not redistrict in such gerrymandered ways would be extremely helpful too. But social media, I would like to try some video town halls. I don't know all the mechanics of it, but I know that you can do video town halls so that people can get together. You can do the conference calls. There's all types of webinar type things that you can do so that you're in their areas all the time. You don't have to wait and do your once a year trip, because time does get pretty precious in this and makes it hard to spend as much time as you would like. Now I've spent a lot of time in different places. There's some places I haven't gotten to because it is a huge district. The social media, video conferencing, use every technology type of thing you can get and make sure that our more rural areas in the district do have that connectivity. We need to make sure that our schools have that and that it's available in libraries and public spaces.
Lauren?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. One of the things I have to say I respect Obama for is his grassroots marketing. I mean, his efforts in the very beginning were actually brilliant, and that's the way you run a campaign. Where it's gone after that is a whole other story, but I think grassroots marketing, social media, I've gone up and down the district as well, and it's a lot of miles. We've done a lot of the Facebook, we've done some video town halls. I've gone to a lot of the communities and we've set up small events. and you have to almost mobilize people to help you. You can't do this by yourself. And I know the Democrats work hard at that. We do also, but I think we have a challenge because we have a person running who is just running on his name alone. He doesn't go to events. He's not really doing much in the way of putting his name out there because he's hiding behind the election, and he believes that that's just enough. If he can just skate by and not make any issues or say anything negative, that he's going to win this election just by straight ticket voting. And so, again, you do have to take advantage of electronics, but there's nothing better than going out and meeting people face to face.
1 minute for rebuttal.
I would also like to ask y'all to not only like Facebook pages and sites, share them with your friends. Your personal recommendation means so much more. I can spend all the money I don't have on TV commercials, let's say, if I had millions, which I don't. But that doesn't mean anything. It's you telling your friend, here's a really terrific candidate. I want you to take a look at this. Here's a video about immigration. Here's one about climate change. Here's one about gun safety. Here's all these different things. And let them see those so they know who is running. As he says, our opponent doesn't get out too much. It would be nice if he would. He has actually done a few things for us. He played the favors lately, and I feel like I should send him a little thank you note for shooting himself in the foot with so many things. It's been kind of helpful. Thank you.
Part of the last question starts with you. What suggestions do you have for campaign reform that would decrease the time spent raising campaign funds?
It's a big belief of mine that the government should not be giving candidates money. It abuses the process. It abuses the situations where you guys end up paying for me making my message and getting out and trying to convince people to vote. I think the greatest thing going for any campaign is to be honest. And I'm saying things and I'm being very crystal clear on the fact that there are people running this country and there are people in the world that are gunning for our constitutional rights. They're coming to attack your property. They're coming to change your family, and they're coming to change the fabric of this country. And we can say that that's not happening, but the media is lying, the politicians are lying, they're all a bunch of criminals, and we need to vote all of them out. So when it comes to a good election, we need to vote out all the incumbents.
Kathy? Sure. What suggestions do you have for campaign reform that would decrease the time spent raising campaign funds?
I would like to see how at the state and federal level go to 4-year terms. When you're electing every 2 years, you are constantly campaigning. And that's absurd. So if it could be 4-year terms, somebody might go there, do 4 years and say, I'm done, I'm out, next person's time. I do believe in public financing because we make the choice to finance. If we want to check off on our tax to send that extra money to the campaign fund, then that would be great. It would allow, if everybody had to do that, it would allow people like us to compete with someone who has $800,000 last time I checked. It makes it very difficult for anybody to run against an incumbent. That's where the grassroots comes in. And grassroots campaigning, I keep telling people, your vote is more important than somebody's money. So if you will get out and you will vote and you will tell all your friends to vote, you can be the campaign finance that we need, or the campaign reform that we need. But we need you to do that. That's your job.
Warren, 1 minute rebuttal.
And it's not really a rebuttal per se. There are other candidates that are running for president. We only hear of the main two. They're not allowing the Green Party or the Libertarians their place at the table, and that's completely unfair. In the past, and I think you mentioned term limits. Term limits is very important. Politicians in the past, back in the day, they would run 1 or 2 times and they'd go home back to their community and they would be productive people. Now, it's so lucrative to stay in their position that the payoff and the future retirement rewards is just unavoidable. And it makes sense why they want to stay there. But I'm going to say again that it's all criminal and these politicians need to go.
At this time, we'll entertain audience questions. If you have a question, if you would move to the microphone here. And please remember to ask your question. You have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Grace Davis. I am a Hays County resident and the director of the Hays Caldwell Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. With our recent opiate epidemic in this country, your position as a U.S. congressperson is critical in determining how we're going to face the tragic deaths of many Americans and the trouble with drugs coming in from Mexico and other places around the world. What is your approach to addressing this drug epidemic in a way that does not throw dollars at programs just because they're at a university or they're with the state, and holding people accountable and making true differences in the beginning instead of waiting 5 years down the road to find out nothing happened?
Either one.
One of the ways that people get addicted to opiates is sometimes doctor shopping and getting lots of them. This is where I think we should have a card that whenever we go to get medicine, our card is run. And it's, you can call it a national health card or whatever you want to call it. I know that freaks some people out. But it would stop that kind of thing, because whenever you send that through, if you just fill a prescription over here, they're not going to fill it for this other doctor over there. I have a cousin who had an opioid addiction, and he was able to kick it with marijuana. And he smokes that as it was medical marijuana that he used, and it helped him to kick that addiction. So there are some uses for medical marijuana that I think really need to be explored. We passed a bill to use it for epilepsy, for certain forms of epilepsy, the ingredient not actually being able to smoke. But I really think we need to look at the medical marijuana for opioids. We need more money for beds, because we do need treatment. They need to be able to get the treatment early on, not when it's really late, and also mental health care.
That card is a great idea. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to blame this on the government and the pharmaceutical companies. They are the ones that are importing the drugs into this country. They're the ones that's making this mess confusing and impossible to solve, and it's killing our citizens. I'm a firm believer in alternative health, herbal supplements, and those kind of things. There are a tremendous amount of solutions that they refuse to recognize and refuse to fund. I feel for the people that have drug issues. I have family members that do. So of course, a stronger social program to work with those people and to be effective, not just to be busy and throw money at it, like you say. But again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I'm a happy person. I have a great, wonderful life and a wonderful Mr. Sunshine. But I believe that this is a government and pharmaceutical company conspiracy, and they should all be tried and thrown in jail.
Next question from the audience.
Mr. Schneiderman, I arrived too late, so you might...
Go ahead and speak more into the, yeah, so we can all hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Just
Take it off, Linda. Take it off.
Oh, there. I was just saying, I got here late and we might have talked about some of these things before, but I am struck by your rhetoric of everybody is a criminal, and I wondered if you could explain that.
Well, let's put it this way. The country of Iceland is trying their bankers and sentencing them to long terms, if not hanging them publicly. I do believe that our politicians have gotten away with murder. They write the rules, they enforce the rules, and they punish the rule breakers. So they're calling the shots. And again, I use the term criminal. I apologize if that's offensive, because there are some good politicians in here. I believe that the politicians themselves are responsible for all the problems in the world. There are some countries that don't respect their politicians as much, and they don't have this type of problems that we have. I'm starting to lean towards the Texas National Movement. I think Texas could do a wonderful job on its own, and I still come back to the fact that if it wasn't for a distorted media and media promoting fraud and lies, we would know the truth of what's going on out there. I encourage you all to investigate that. I used to work for NBC and National Public Radio. I know firsthand that what we're seeing on the news is perpetuating the falsehood that this country has become.
Ms. Thomas, you want to respond?
As I said earlier, I don't think that we are quite the cesspool that some people are saying that we are, and you're not saying it that badly, but there are some. We have really good things that happen here. We have really good people. We need more people working together, more people understanding that there's strength in numbers. I was over at the founders, at the Friends Foundation fundraiser before I came here, and one of my friends came over and said, "You're the one who told us about that road that was going to go through our backyard." And all their neighbors, they're in an area where everybody's got like 20 acres, nobody knew their neighbors. They all got together, they worked, they stop that road from going through there. But that's the power we have when we work together. You can't look at the government as a foreign entity or an alien. The government is us because we dadgummit put them in there. So if you don't like them, vote them out. And if you do like the ones you vote in, stay on their fannies. Write them, call them, visit them every time they're in town. Politics is not a spectator sport. You have to stay involved. It makes the difference in our democracy. If we let somebody rule and we sit back and we're like, okay, fine, then we are going to get the government that we deserve. We deserve better. We can get better.
Last question, please.
It's very obvious that the American people are pretty fed up with what's happening with our government. We have lost trust, we've lost confidence. What would each of you do to help rebuild that trust and confidence, and particularly in your communicating, to help delete some of the fear or reduce the fear? Because there's no better way to control people than by fear. That's not communication, that's not management, that's not the interaction or what we expect from our leaders. So what would you do to help change this fear that's raging among all people, regardless of party, and move us towards more trust with our leaders and improve the situation?
Thank you. That's a great question. And of course, you know that falls right into what I believe. We need to eliminate the United Nations agendas. We need to eliminate the international cartel and the international agendas that are influencing this country. They are influencing our banking system, our commerce, our free trade. The TPP is a horrible deal for Americans, and it's going to strengthen the foreign and the national corporations. We need to eliminate those agendas. We need to come back to a constitutional republic to where we, the people, vest the power in the federal government, and the only way to eliminate fear is to start speaking truthfully and boldly and honestly to change some of the things. And I apologize. I do not want to be vermin in the cesspool. And I'm from here, and I know that this district, we're good people. But I'm saying this from a politician's point of view. Someone's got to be bold and say and break this code that we're believing that everything's okay. The media is our watchdog. We are free people. And the fear you say, I wake up every morning and I pray that I could go through a day without seeing any of the fear-mongering that exists. What's happening on the TV and in politics is just frightful. And I raise kids. I don't talk like this to my kids. I'm a loving person. But as a public figure, we need to start speaking honestly and start tearing down these things that are killing our democracy.
Well, if I was going to eliminate anything to get rid of fear, I would eliminate Fox News, because they are fear-mongers first and foremost. Obviously, that can't happen because we do have freedom of the press. But I wish that more people would look at more independent news sources rather than having that thing running 24/7, or at least fact-check them, for heaven's sakes. We can do more when we talk to each other. When Leonard Pittman gave a really great example, he said, when we're talking about painting a wall, and I say, I want to paint it purple, and you say, I want to paint it orange, he said, as long as we're talking about the wall, we can start talking. Okay, do we paint it purple with orange polka dots or what? But if I say, I want to paint the wall purple, and you say, what wall? Then we've got a problem. And that's what's happening right now. We've got both sides that are so darn sure they're right, and nobody's talking to each other. I've had people hammering me on some of my videos. I've got one on gun safety. And I had a guy that we went back and forth, but we were doing it respectfully. And I told him, I said, you can put anything you want on my Facebook page as long as it's respectful and as long as we're dialoguing. But when they start using profanity, I ban them. I'm like, that's it. We don't have that on my website. My daughter asked me one day, because she was over at somebody's house and they had Fox on. She said, Mom, is somebody going to come to my school and shoot me? I said, honey, you're more likely to be shot by a toddler in this country, than you are a terrorist. So don't worry about that. We've got to get over fear. We've got to trust. We've got to believe that people are innately good. There are some bad people out there. But if we will work for the common good, we can make this a better world. We can make a difference. And that's what I want to do, is work with people to make this a better world. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go to closing statements. And Lauren, you are first.
That's beautiful, Kathy. And okay, I believe the same thing. I live my life by teachings of my God, and I believe and I study with a gentleman, Thich Nhat Hanh, who's one of the most peaceful Buddhists on this planet. And he says, peace in yourself, peace in the world. We don't have any political party right now preaching love and peace. We have no party of peace. We have no language of peace. We have no, I guess, champions of peace that are willing to stay the course and be bold and go against the madness that's out there. So I'm going to agree with Kathy fully. This is a beautiful world. We're all making it beautiful here. And I do apologize for coming on as I do. But it's important to me to get out the point that I'm fighting against the media I work for. I'm fighting against the politicians I see. I believe in stopping the madness, and that is through the beauty of peace and love. Thank you so much.
Kathy, 1 minute.
What galvanized me to get into this race is I heard Mr. Williams speak in Driven about a year ago, and he said that faith, family, and country are the most important things to him. And then he started talking about things that had nothing to do with faith. I mean, they were so against faith, and I'm sitting there thinking, not in my Bible, not in my Bible, not in my Bible. And he talked about building walls and throwing illegals out and bombing Iran and just some really awful things. And so I went home and I got to talking to my husband. I said, you know, it really upsets me when people say they're people of faith and then their actions don't follow their words. Because that's the public face. That's why so many young people don't want to go into churches, because they see that hateful excludingness. And I said, I want to go. I do my best to follow Jesus. I'm not very good at it, but I do try. And I try to make my words follow my mouth. So if you want somebody that's going to work very hard to make sure that what I say and what I do are as close as they can possibly be, I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you both.